Greetings, Ethan Indigo Smith here. I wanted to discuss a bit of information pertaining to the sacred numerology and the sacred geometry of Jesus. That I'm. This is a smaller part of a presentation that I'm doing in a couple of days on the occult rejects of the 64 divided by phi equation. So, which is all about sacred geometry and sacred numerology and other concepts. But I wanted to share those two phrases, the descriptions of subject matter, because they immediately have triggers for most people that don't dabble in the subject matter. But everywhere is sacred geometry, and even in every religious tradition, there is sacred geometry, we could say. A lot of subject matter has esoteric and exoteric teachings. Esoteric is another trigger word, right? Where people even use it to describe something that might be confusing, not something that's an indoor teaching, if you will. There are a lot of layers of symbolism in the Bible, of course. One of the layers is the astrological symbolism pertaining to the Jesus story. Jesus and his 12 disciples, of course, pertains to the sun and the 12 astrological signs. And the coming back after 3 days, the 3-day symbolism is a really important one, and also pertains to the sun pausing before the days lengthen. Seemingly to pause as before the days lengthen in the cycle of the year and light on planet Earth. And of course there are the exoteric teachings, but let's look at some more esoteric, that is to say, mathematical, sacred numerology, sacred geometry symbolism. And sacred geometry, I think, it's important to know, is not just a visualization tool or a visual piece of art. I think sacred geometry, as opposed to geometry that measures the physical, that measures Earth, sacred geometry measures space, time, place, and mind, vibration, sound, music, thereby many different concepts that are more subtle than just geometry, meaning earth measure. All right. Oh, not that button. So again, this is going to be part of a longer presentation I'm doing in a couple of days. But let's just break down the symbolism of Jesus as a sacred geometer, because that's real astounding, I think. Let's start with, is it coming on? There we go. Okay. The Tetragrammaton is the name for God in the Bible, and it breaks down to the number 72. Again, I'm going to do a much longer presentation on the sacred geometry in the Tetragrammaton formation that harkens to the tetractys formation, as we see here. But we're just focusing on the 72 on this piece here, because it's an amazing strand of information on its own. So God equates to 72. Well, what is 72? Actually, it is 3 days. Not only that, but mathematically, 72 is 3 24 hours. And 72 is also 2/3 of 36, of 108, with 36 remainder. 72 hours is 3 days. Now, why do I say that Jesus is a sacred geometer? because 72 hours is 4,320 minutes. And there is the 432, which of course is 108 times 4. From Exodus, there are the 72 names of God. And later on, there would be the contrast of that with the 72 sigils for the demons of Solomon. But let's break down some less anecdotal and more mathematical and historical ideas related to the 72. In the original Egyptian mummification process, although there were a few different ones over time, 70 days was the traditional length of the process of the mummification. 40 days spent in natron, the salts that would dry out the body to have it be preserved. There are known to be, or said to be, 70 children of El and Asherah. I did an amazing presentation from out of my book, Marijuana and the Prohibition of the Divine Feminine, on Asherah and other goddesses and the historical evidence of the prohibition of cannabis and so forth. But Asherah was related to the goddess of cannabis, and she was the wife or the consort of El, the god that was the forebearer god of Yahweh, if you will. Baal being I think it goes El Baal Yahweh, if I'm not mistaken. But the Baal might have been preceding El. Forgive me. The point is 70 children of this pair. That equals 72. Depending on how one translates the presentation, the original Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible or the biblical stories were done by 70 or 72 translators. And back to biblical celebration, 72 is, of course, half of 144, resonating with the idea of the 144,000, the 12 times 12 in the biblical story of the chosen and so forth. 72, here's another astronomical significance, is that it is the number of years that it takes for the Earth to travel 1 degree in the great year of the astrological cycle. And of course, as I mentioned, 72 hours is 3 days and 4,320 minutes, which is 108 times 40. And the 432 is considered to be a healing tone, of course. And I would suggest that most tones are more healing than no tone. And 43,200 is a measure of time in the Sumerian Kings list, and 432,000 years is the length of time in the Kali Yuga. So another number out of the Bible, as I mentioned before, is the 13 and the 3. The 13, 12 disciples and Jesus, the 3 for the 3 days. Well, the other number would be 144,000. And 144,000 divided by 108 is 1,333.333333. Interesting. So I think the 72 is a fascinating number, and I think it proves a lot of the Jesus story is about sacred geometry and sacred numerology. Um, so I think also Jesus as a sacred geometer and sacred numerologist is a lot better than him being exploited for otherwise nefarious monotheistic insistence. So I hope you find that interesting. Check out my book, The Geometry of Energy, and check out the article on the equation, and check out the Occult Rejects episode, which will be up in a couple days, and it's probably up by the time you're seeing this. So, peace.